It took Toyota a while, but now they've got their little known subcompact crossover. Let's take a look at the Daihatsu Rocky.
Dude, Raize! Toyota Raize!
That was my creative director, Nico Villegas. Just trying to make sure you're paying attention. Sus! Now the crossover is actually a very Toyota thing. They were pioneers with the RAV4, but with every generation of that model, it got bigger and worse, more expensive. And that created a big gap below the RAV4, and that void was filled by competitors. You've got your EcoSport, your Coolray, your MGZS, and even the Territory. Now 2 years ago, Toyota wisened up and started to fill that gap with the Corolla Cross. But the price was still a bit high for the market. Hence, the Raize. The Raize is a true mini crossover. Yes, it's a Daihatsu, well, because Toyota owns Daihatsu. Now, if you travel around the region, you'll find this car under a different badge. You heard us in the open, we called it the Rocky. And if you trace its lineage, you'll probably even find that it's the direct descendant of the Daihatsu Feroza. Now, what we have here is the G variant. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm a fan of the look, but it's unique, it's youthful, and it's funky. That is what it has going for it. There's a bar here that connects the split type LED headlamps, halogen fog lamps, and a large lower grille. The Turbo CVT and the G variants get this two-tone finish. You'll see a fin type antenna at the top, a rear spoiler, a piano black backdoor garnish, and LED sequential taillights. Now, I like the entire effort that Toyota put in here. It looks like a baby RAV4 that hasn't really filled out yet or hasn't hit puberty. Maybe it's how these windows, they sort of taper in a little bit like this, and how these fenders, they flare out just a tiny bit that makes it look a little thick around the waist. Now, the body cladding is nice, but thicker could be better. And maybe Toyota in the future can dial in a bit more ground clearance. Now, there's no denying it. This is hard plastic everywhere in the cockpit. But I like the layered design. The bottom part, you've got your glove box, your digital climate control system, and the start-stop button. Now, the top layer, you've got your pop-out cup holders, which are easy to stow away. Just pop it back in. You've got your air vents that have these silver accents that are also available. You can see the silver accents here and also by the door grabs. Now, the only leather here, there are a few bits and pieces you've got on the steering wheel, you've got on the shift boot, by the door panel, and the cover of the center console. Seats are fabric, but they do have a fun pattern, plus the red piping complements the exterior color, but the seats are only manually adjustable. It must be noted that the steering column is only tilt adjustable. You can't really pull it, so you have to get your seat back upright to get into the proper driving position. And I also noticed there aren't that many storage spaces. There's one here and one by the door panel. Now, this is an 8-inch touchscreen, an inch smaller than what you get in the Turbo CVT, but it has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, has Bluetooth, you have USB connectivity. Now, one USB port is right here. This is a 2.1 amp powered port, but it doesn't connect to the infotainment system. If you need to do Apple CarPlay, this is the one you use, which unfortunately is up here. So your cables will be dangling when you're connecting to Apple CarPlay. Now, the G variant has speed sensing locks, which I like. It also has automatic headlamps, but my favorite feature has to be the 7-inch TFT multi-information display. Now, I'll tell you why and I'll show you. Just go to Settings and select Designs to change the tachometer type. So it has at least 4 types here. Let's do this one. This is my favorite, and another one. All right, so you can freshen up the look of the panel whenever you like. But what I do find a little odd here is the placement of the audio controls on the steering wheel. I'm used to having everything on the left side, but the Toyota somehow split it here. On the right side is the skip buttons when you want to change songs, and on the left side is the volume adjustment. So when you get your Raize, you got to remember, I got to skip to the next song, right thumb. Change the volume, left thumb. Now this model uses a naturally aspirated 1.2 liter engine with VVTi, puts out 88 PS and 113 Newton meters of torque. So it feels sprightly from 0 to 60 kilometers per hour, but anything above that, and I had to put a little bit more throttle pressure to get the kind of pull that I wanted. It uses a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. Now, it's fine, it's smooth during acceleration and even at high speeds. But there was a time when it felt like it was hunting for the right ratio as I was maintaining, or at least trying to maintain, 60 kilometers per hour over the tricky roads of the Skyway Stage 3, ups, downs, and all of these turns. And one of the weaknesses of the small displacement engine is exposed, and even the CVT couldn't help it. At just 90 kilometers per hour, the RPM was already at 1.9 2000. And when I pushed the vehicle to 100 kilometers per hour, the RPM went up to 2.2. But despite that, fuel consumption is a very good 14.5 kilometers per liter. One of the things I admire most about this cabin, even though the plastic, is how well it's put together. And that's even over rough roads, believe me. I tried. There was a rough stretch over Seaside Boulevard in Pasay City. I don't know if you passed through there, but there's a really rough patch, and this thing kept it together over it. I'm impressed. Steering is light because it's a small vehicle, which is one of the reasons why it's fun to take around, even in traffic, on EDSA, and on the highway. Now, suspension, you have to note, it's a tad bit soft. You won't notice it much if the roads are really nice. I mean, great pavement. But if you hit one of those old national roads with dips and swells, even slight ones that have been created by big trucks, it will feel a little wavy. The Toyota Raize 1.2 G CVT to me is fairly priced at 906,000 pesos. It's efficient, comes with the necessary modern tech like your connectivity stuff, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the big screen. But remember, it's still a low-cost model, so cabin materials won't be made of the top-shelf premium stuff. But despite that, judging by how many Raize variants you see on the road, it seems like it's on its way to become a compact crossover contender. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. I'm Eric Tipan from AutoIndustriya.com.